Today I want to talk about why I became a vegan. My initial reason for researching a plant-based diet was I began to think about the impact animal agriculture has on the environment. It didn't make sense to me to use all of this land and with all the deforestation that occurs to have cattle grazing on this land. Surely it would make more sense to cut out the middleman and just use that land to grow vegetables, which would be healthier, cheaper, and a better resource of the planet. So I started investigating this, and yeah, that logic that was in my brain has all of the evidence to back this up. So that was my initial reason. And then when I came to look into it further and further investigate the cruelty that is involved with if you live a diet where you eat animals, it's really shameful. So I've been a vegetarian I was a vegetarian for a really long time, probably all of my adult life, and only in the last sort of 9 months or so have I become vegan. And I feel kind of ashamed that I've only just made this switch, because you start by looking at it from one angle, which mine was initially environmental, and then you investigate it more deeply and you realise that the cruelty that's involved with the enslavement of animals for us just to have a meal that we believe tastes good, which is completely selfish. So the cruelty, the environmental impact, and the myth around protein and calcium is actually outstanding. How inaccurate most of us are living our lives in order to what we feel is surviving and flourishing. We're doing the opposite by the enslavement and the torturing of animals. So these are my reasons: the environment, animals, health, and as soon as I turned to a plant-based diet, my personal health, my energy levels, and a feeling of compassion was apparent within literally days. So I hadn't eaten meat, animals, flesh, but I was still consuming dairy up until I became a vegan 9 or so months ago. And I hadn't really considered the dairy industry. And I feel ashamed of that, to be 41 and, I knew where milk came from, but I guess I hadn't really wanted to consider any deeper or more deeply how the milk is obtained for us to drink, which ultimately is a pregnant cow gives birth to her baby. She has all those these feelings of attachment as a mother would to her baby, as I did to my son. Have all those emotional connections, and then the baby is born, the calf is born, and then it's taken away from the mother so that we can drink its milk. I mean, that's pretty horrific. It also means that the cow not only is cruelly treated when she goes through this process, but she is then made to go through that process time and time again, which essentially shortens her lifespan and of course leads to the most horrific of lives. So those are my reasons, and I thoroughly recommend that you investigate a vegan plant-based diet. Now, if you're not turned on by looking after the environment, if you're not turned on by animal welfare, if you don't believe they have the same rights as us, perhaps selfishly you might want to be respectful of your own body and perhaps look at your own health. And the beauty of being a vegan is, by becoming a vegan, you address all of these issues and make for a better planet. So that's my reasons for becoming a vegan, and I will never look back. But I'm just going to share with you now some facts around consuming animal products and the impact of this on the environment. So first up, let's talk about some health issues. The saturated fat in red meat, poultry and meat products can lead to heart disease. Red and processed meats such as smoked meat, ham, bacon, sausages, pate and tinned meat also increase the risk of some cancers, especially bowel cancer. But here comes the good stuff. A well-balanced vegan diet contains all the protein, fat, carbohydrate, vitamins and minerals you'll ever need. It is low in saturated fat and it's free from animal protein, cholesterol and hormones, which are all linked to disease. So a really alarming fact with regards to livestock farming is that livestock farming is responsible for more greenhouse gas emissions than all of the world's transportation system combined. So if you put together all the cars, all the buses, all the trucks, all the trains, all the ships, all the planes across the planet, it still produces less greenhouse emissions than livestock farming. Each year in Britain, over 1 billion animals face slaughter, having spent their short lives in confinement, pain and misery. It's so sad, especially when, as I talked about earlier, the myths around protein and calcium. Protein, we can get our protein from pulses such as peas, beans and lentils, from soya, from whole grains such as brown rice, from cereals, from seeds, from nuts. We don't need to be enslaving and slaughtering these animals. The same for calcium as well. We don't just get calcium from milk. We can get calcium from sesame seeds, from pulses, from peas, lentils, watercress, almonds, Brazil nuts. There are so many plant-based options. So hopefully all of this has sparked your interest into looking into becoming a vegan or looking into plant-based living, plant-based diets. Perhaps having a hunt around on the internet. A really good place for further information is the Viva Health website at vivahealth.org.uk. This is where I've taken some of my facts from today. It's a really useful resource.